Hello there, and welcome to this session, Solving Tactics on ChessTempo.com. This set is 1700 to 1800 mixed. We're about to get our queen forked. So, white threatens check. Two rooks, bishop, bishop. I'm down a minor piece. I can recuperate that and be up the exchange. I don't see any craziness like queen takes g2 check. And unfortunately, if rook takes, there's knight check, king here, bishop check, which would lose me my queen and then my rook. I could take here, then take here. Or I could just take here. What else? Okay, so if I defend e7, I'm going to lose my rook. Bishop takes, and if pawn takes... Oh, wait, no, I can take with the rook. Okay. So I can defend. Bishop takes and then just rook takes. But then I'm down material. I'm down a piece. So in order to get my piece back, I need to play bishop takes f2 check first, king f1, and then queen e5. Seems reasonable. To guard e7, because knight would be checkmate actually. If I allow it, like bishop check, king f1, and then if I allow knight e7 check, that's going to be mate, because the bishop covers g8 and g7 and h8. So bishop takes check, king, and now queen e6. Rook takes b2 is not enough. Knight check, king g. Knight check is rook takes, knight check, king g7, knight takes, pawn takes. I'm two rooks and a bishop against a rook and a queen. It's not enough. So yeah, queen e7. What other squares are there? There's also queen. Oh, because he's also threatening knight f6. Knight e7 check wins the queen. Knight f6 check. King g7. Knight h4 check. He can perpetual. Wait, knight h4 check I can just take. Double check here. My king goes here and he has a perpetual. We'll double check here, king h6. Yeah, okay, so I can allow... Oh, okay. The bishop covers. Okay. Alright, yeah. I was only thinking queen covers. Bishop covers is way better. Way, way better. Next problem. This check here would fork the knight and the queen, but the bishop covers. Is there any way to deflect the bishop? There's knight check, pawn takes. Knight check, pawn takes, knight check. Wait, I can give this knight check, and if pawn takes, I can win both of these. Knight check, pawn takes, knight takes, king, knight takes. I'm 2 pieces against the bishop. But takes is not forced. He could also play knight check. I can play knight check, king h3, queen f1 check, king takes. And then bishop f6 mate. Okay, so yeah, the line goes knight h4, pawn takes, knight takes, check, king h3, king g3, and then knight takes d5. Knight takes king h3, queen f1, knight takes, or king takes h4, bishop f6 mate. And there's no checkmate here. The queen doesn't have any checks. That's a good one. I like that problem a lot. The best problems I find are always when white has several, or the opponent has several options, and each one he has to choose to lose material in order to stop some other worse thing from happening. Mistakes made in this position, knight f4 check. But you don't really have anything here. The bishop covers f3, king h3. Oh, whoa, no, don't go to private messages. Whatever. Sorry. Alright, so black to move. Maybe we're looking for a checkmate here. Check here, king h6. I don't see it. But I'm thinking about rook h2 check, king g6, knight check. Knight check. The king needs to go to g7. I can play rook g2 check. But I don't see what that's doing. I do also maybe need to stop this pawn. That's something to consider. What about rook g8? No, that's not actually a checkmate threat. Rook h8. Oh, well, first of all, it gives up my rook for free. That's not cricket. King d6, pawn check, king takes, c8 queens. I mean, rook takes f2, c7, rook c2 is possible, but definitely not what I want to do. Rook h2 check, king g6, rook h8 is a much better way of getting at the pawn, if that's really what I want to do. There's also king f6, king f6, c7, king g7, threatening mate. King f6, threatening checkmate. c7 check, king g7, threatening mate. And now how does he stop it? He's going to have to play rook g6 check. Rook takes g6, c8 queens, h6 mate. I actually thought something like that was going to happen, but I didn't really consider the line. So king f6, threatening rook h2 mates. How can he stop that? He can't stop it with any piece. Bishop takes, no. Bishop, there is no check. So c7 check is the only way to stop it, really. And then after king g7, he has no other checks except for rook g6. Promotes checkmate. Good one. Garry Kasparov with the black pieces. Next problem. That's very good. Problem number 7989-1. 79,891. Okay, so check. King f6 is the most natural response to me. King h5, king h4 feels wrong, just on preliminary view. Is something bad happening to me, like king h5, king f6, rook g6 check, king e5, rook e1 check, king d4, rook e4 check, king c3, rook g3 check, king b2, rook takes a3, pawn takes a3, f6, a2, G8 queens, A1 queens check. For example. I seem to survive there. So king f6, rook check, king here, rook check. Again. King d4, rook check, king here, rook check, king c2, and I'm surviving. This check here, rook d5 check doesn't actually work because I'll have this square here. But what about the line check, 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 king here, check, king here, check, king here. Now check, king here. Check, king here. I have to defend, and then bishop check. I can just go to c1. Yep. So king f6. Okay, just stay in front of the pawn. Just stay in front of the pawn. Fair enough. I can take. So it stops him from pushing while I get to push my own. Fair enough. So I should consider rook h8 check, rook takes, or pawn takes. Rook check, king g2, pawn check, king takes. Rook check, king g2. Pawn takes. King takes f3. Nope, I don't see anything in rook h8 check. So let's consider rook takes or pawn takes. Rook takes, I should win this pawn. Rook takes, bishop g2. Then I can come back to threaten mate, or I can just take on c3. Ooh, but pawn takes, is rook h8 unstoppable? Pawn takes. Now he has to meet the threat of rook h8, so he plays g4, and I play knight e4. And then rook h8 can't be stopped. Pawn takes. Ah, okay, so this. And now rook h4 check. Rook h4. Huh. If rook h8, rook h4. Clearly I got a little bit too excited there. So can I just go queen after that? Or rook h8 check, rook takes, rook h4, rook takes, pawn takes, king f4. h5. Wait, then can I give mate with the knight? Yes. Rook h8 check, rook h4, rook takes, pawn takes, check, king f6. The bishop can go anywhere. I'm going to play knight e4, knight g5 mate. Rook check, rook h4, rook takes, pawn takes, king f4. If bishop d3, I'm going to take on d3 and then give f2 mate. If h5, I'm going to go knight e4 and knight g5 mate. What? Okay, this is a much more direct way of doing it, but shouldn't this be like an alternate at least? Pawn takes... Oh, but after the h4 pawn moves, the king it's no longer mate because the king can go to h4. To be fair, I didn't see this defense from the beginning. I didn't see rook d4 defending. So rook check, and then knight here threatening mate. And the king still protects the h4 square. Not a good day for me so much so far. Not a good day at all. So there's a way to win. There's a way to win the queen for. So knight check, rook takes, rook check. Knight check, rook takes, rook check. If rook takes, I take the queen, and I'm a queen for a knight and a rook. But if bishop takes, rook takes check, king takes, the queen is still defended. What about knight check, rook takes, and then rook takes f8? Queen takes. Knight check, rook takes. Rook takes f8, queen takes h4, and I don't have anything. Rook takes g6. If pawn takes g6, knight. 96 check, rook takes e6. He is also threatening to win my piece, right? He's threatening to win my rook. So it could very well be a defensive problem. Fuck. Man, I had a couple of really good sessions, but this one just sucks. This fucking sucks. Mm. All right, what if I play rook f7 check first? Rook f7 check. If rook takes knight check. If bishop takes rook check. Bishop takes. I can play queen takes. Rook takes. Bishop takes, queen check, rook takes. And then I don't have knight e6 check because the bishop covers that square. And if I play rook takes f7, he's just going to take with the king. I could play rook check, bishop takes, rook check, king takes, and then queen h7 check. King f6, queen h6 check, king f5, queen h7 check, king f4, f6 check, king f3. I don't really believe this, but I don't think I'm winning there. I was actually looking for a perpetual. Yeah, I have no fucking idea what to do. I'm sorry. No idea. So I think it's just about saving the piece. I need to somehow save material. So I'm going to play knight d7, saving my rook and hitting his rook. And then you're down the exchange, or what? And what's wrong with pawn takes? Queen takes, rook takes, knight takes? Okay. So if pawn takes, so you have to play king takes. And you get material back and it's equality? Whatever, man. Fuck that shit. Alright, so I'm trying to get the knight to move. I would assume. So I can play knight h5. Threatening knight takes f6. He would play g6 maybe. And then I could play what? Bishop f4, trapping the queen. Bishop f4, bishop b4. It's not a real queen trap. Oh wait, but it does deflect the queen from the defense of the knight on f6. Okay. So knight h5, g6, bishop f4, knight takes f6 afterwards. Maybe I would throw in a rook takes e8. No, but then knight takes e8. I could play rook takes e8 first. So knight h5, g6. What other defenses are there? Is bishop f7 a defense? No. I would have knight takes f6, pawn takes f6, or queen takes f6, queen h7 check, king f8, queen h8 mate. So knight g5, or knight h5, and I think the only defense is g6. Of course, there's also bishop f5, but that's not really working. If rook takes, and that's fine. But what about, no, rook takes, bishop f7 doesn't work. It's still checkmate. So knight h5, g6, bishop f4, queen b4, knight takes f6 check. But the problem with that is that I would rather get another rook there because he can play knight h5, rook takes, g6, bishop f4, queen b4, and now after knight f6 check, I'm not winning the exchange as well. But rook takes isn't forced. He can just play bishop takes. So I don't think it matters. So knight h5, g6, bishop f4, knight takes. Okay, fine. 2 pieces for the queen. All right, let's do one more. Black to move. This guy's really protecting against mate threats. Very assiduously. Queen h1 check. What are you doing after queen h1 check? You're going to f2. I have this check here. Pawn takes. And then I don't have queen takes f3. which is sad. So queen check, king f2. I don't think I should be trying for a perpetual here. Doesn't seem necessary. I don't see any like serious black threats or white threats in this position, rather. So a perpetual does not seem the way to go. Is there some way that I could create a new threat after queen h1 check? h5 is too slow. I need to somehow save my knight as well. So any new threats that I could create? Not that I see. Knight takes, king takes. Queen check, king here, knight takes, king takes. Not seeing it. Knight here now, threatening checkmate. Pawn takes. Knight here now, pawn takes. Queen takes h3 check, king e1. It's not working. There's no way to give me to produce a fork between the king and the queen that I see. I'm stumped again. Why am I always getting stumped? I mean, I could perpetual, but seems unnecessary. Queen f3. No. Queen here. If queen here, he would do what? If knight here, knight takes, pawn takes. If queen here, queen here's fine to defend. Queen d8, queen takes, e4. Don't believe it. Queen h1 check, king, and then king c. No, king c1, queen c1 doesn't even work. Queen check, king here, queen check. No. Knight takes, king takes, knight takes, pawn takes, or king takes. No, I don't see it. I don't get it. There it is. There it is. Motherfucker. Again, I couldn't see the. That's the second time. I thought there wasn't. I considered this exact solution, or like the idea of this solution, but I couldn't see it. Ah, that's so disappointing. All right, and this stupid shit. So knight here. If pawn, knight b3 mates. Knight here, pawn here. Knight b3 would be stalemates. So I need to force him to move the pawn. So I need my knight on c1. And each move I need to threaten mate. So I need to play knight c4, knight c5, pawn here, mates. Knight c5, king here, knight here. So knight here, king a2. Knight here, king here. Now knight here, a2 is forced, and knight b3 is mate. So here, 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 here. All right. Too frustrated to continue. Goodbye. Thank you very much for being here with me and learning with me today. That'll be it for this session. Have fun with your chess journey and take care until next time.